Assalamu alaikum students. Our second topic is importance of line in design. In this slide, I have collected some images to describe you that how nature has lines. You can see reflections making vertical lines, lines on animals, desert lines, how it is created by air and other things, how beautiful they are. Kinds of lines. There are different kinds of lines: vertical line, horizontal, diagonal, curved, zigzag. Line is one of the most basic element in art and design. One can create so many kinds of lines just by drawing. You get many types of lines such as vertical, horizontal, diagonal, curved, zigzag, and jagged lines. They all suggest different things and feelings. Every line has feelings. Most artists and designers today use lines which represent themselves. There are a number of lines types in art. There are straight, curved, curly, squiggy, dashed, dotted, diagonal, horizontal, and vertical lines, among others. You get the picture, various types of lines that an artist might use in creating a drawing. Jagged lines suggest uncertainty or anger. Zigzag lines, these are diagonal lines that join at point. They give off a feeling of excitement and movement. The change of direction also creates a feeling of confusion. They can imply many things as they break down or ascend up. And horizontal and vertical lines used together suggest permanence. They imply sturdiness, solidity, and immovability. Horizontal lines suggest landscape and the horizon. They impart a sense of peacefulness, vastness, and constancy. These lines run from left to right. Horizontal lines are soft and feminine, thus making one feel at peace. In the landscape above, the lines give you a sense of space. Horizontal lines suggest a feeling of rest or repose. Objects parallel to the earth are at rest in relation to gravity. Therefore, compositions in which horizontal lines dominate tend to be quiet and restful in feeling. Vertical lines suggest alert attention. They imply strength, power, and authority. These lines give off a sense of masculinity and height. Vertical lines communicate a feeling of loftiness and spirituality. Erect line seems to extend upwards beyond human reach towards the sky. They often dominate public architecture, from cathedrals to corporate headquarters. Extended perpendicular lines suggest an overpowering grandeur beyond ordinary human measure. Horizontal and vertical lines in combination communicate stability and solidity. In case of the man in his family group, the lines seem to imply stability to the point of stogginess. Diagonal lines suggest action and movement. They convey dynamism, vitality, and animation. Diagonal lines shows movement. Things that stand in a diagonal position look unstable. Diagonal lines suggest a feeling of movement or direction. Since objects in a diagonal position are unstable in relation to gravity, being neither vertical nor horizontal, they are either about to fall or are already in motion. In this slide, you can see the images of different types of lines. Line variation, length, lines can be long or short, width, lines can be thick or thin, texture, texture is a surface quality, lines can be rough or smooth, directions, left, right, up, down, lines can move in any direction, such as vertical, horizontal, or diagonal, degree of curve, lines can curve gradually or not at all, become wavy, or form spirals. Feeling, what is feeling? Feeling is the expressive qualities of line depending on its direction. A line can express different ideas of feeling. In this slide, you can see line variations, its texture, its direction, and feelings. Next one is type of lines. There are different types of lines. A single line used to depict the silhouette of a figure or an object, using line to define the edge or form of an object. Quite simply, it's used to create an outline drawing. We see in cave art, in cave paintings, they used outline in black color. These lines are full of energy and are used to depict the movement of a moving figure. Gesture lines reveal the touch of the artist's hand, arm, and sometimes the entire body in their artwork. Calligraphic line is recognizable as a representation of words even when we do not know the language. Calligraphic imagery is often used by modern artists simply because of the mysterious messages implied in the code of unknown language. Line in the form of maps is readily recognized as a symbolic representation of a place. The place may be a local neighborhood or the entire world. You can see the maps of the whole world. It may be a carefully measured representation or a stylized diagram, such as a subway map. In either case, we understand it to be a device by which we can understand the relationship between places, how to get from here to there. Other lines are geometrical lines, graphs, circular lines, implied lines, actual lines, and organic lines. A line is defined as a line of point that extends infinity in two directions. It has one dimension, length. Points that are on the same line are called collinear points. In geometry, a line is straight, no bends, has no thickness, and extends in both directions without end, infinity. One end makes it a ray, and two ends make it a line segment. Geometric lines are mathematically determined. They have regularity and hard or sharp edges. True geometric lines are rarely found in nature, but often found in man made constructions. They convey a sense of order, conformity, and reliability. Greek architecture is one of the example of geometric shapes. They use geometry in their architecture. These give off a feeling of perfection and completeness. Graphs are another ready recognizable linear device. They are widely used to communicate quantitative information and relationships in a visual way. From the time we first meet them in basic algebra to the last time we picked up a copy of USA Today. Circular lines give off a feeling of perfection and completeness. Actual lines are marks or objects that are real lines. They exist physically. Examples of actual lines include lines painted on a highway, tree branches, lines inside on the surface of gravestones, telephones poles, neon signs, and words on a page. Contour lines define the edges of objects, like the sides of a bookcase, the edges of a table, boulder, a window. Contour lines define both the edges of the object and the negative space between them. What is the negative space? Negative space is the area around the objects, such as the space between the rungs of a ladder. Implied lines are lines that we see in our mind's eye that fill in the spaces between objects, such as a line of lights in the ceiling and the rows of windows in a large office building. Implied lines are also found in the gaze between two people. We imagine a line that goes from one person's eye to the other. Implied lines can also extend beyond the edges of an artwork. The next is organic lines. Organic lines are the types of lines found in nature. They are irregular, curved, and often fluid. They convey a sense of gracefulness, dynamism, and spontaneity. In this slide, you can see different types of lines: implied, organic, and lines in nature. In this slide, you can see the images, how line creates 3D shapes. The next one is line and value. What is value? Value, the element of art that describes the darkness or lightness of an object. Value depends on how much light a surface reflects. A surface has a dark value if it reflects little light. It has a light value if it reflects a lot of light. How you create value in artwork? Through line, you use stippling, hatching, and cross hatching. These are also techniques of shading. What is stippling? Stippling means dots closer together make a darker value, dots further apart make lighter value. If you put dots close to each other, you create darker value. What is hatching? Hatching means parallel lines. When you create parallel lines, closer together or thicker makes a darker value, and when you create parallel lines further apart or thinner makes a lighter value. And what is cross hatching? Lines that crisscross each other. The more or the thicker the lines, the darker the value. The less or the thinner the lines, the lighter the value. Cross hatching, the technique of using crossed lines for shading. Each time you make a mark on a piece of paper, you are making a line with a certain value determined by how hard you press. Cross hatching is organizing lines of a certain density and value to create a continuous value. You put pressure on your pencil and you create darker value. In this slide, you can see different hatching, cross hatching, and stippling. Applying these techniques, artists create textures. Kinds of line drawing. There are different types of line drawing: contour drawing, gesture drawing, calligraphic drawing. These gesture drawing, what is gesture drawing? These lines are full of energy and are used to depict the movement of a moving figure. Gesture lines reveal the touch of the artist's hand. You have listened before in contour line. And what is calligraphy? Is recognizable as a representation of words. In the next slide, you can see calligraphic image. Human parts of human body in motion. And their contour lines. The next one is expressive qualities of line. What are the expressive qualities of line? The expressive qualities of line are as variable as each artist's work, as line can be short, long, thick, thin, smooth, textured, broken, flowing, erratic, dark and light, heavy, soft, hard, playful, ordered, even variable, calligraphic, authoritative, tentative, irregular, smudged, uneven, straight, crooked, choppy, ghostly, graceful. The variety is endless. Each type of line says something different. Each evokes a different response. In some way, line is an integral part of every artwork. Careful consideration of the quality of line used support and enhance the artist's intent. Expressive lines impart emotional qualities to line. For example, lines with sharp peaks are not easy read by our eyes and impart a feeling of uneasiness. In contrast, lines without sharp edges, which allow our eyes to flow easily, make us feel calm and comfortable. Sharply angled lines suggest excitement, anger, danger. Flat lines suggest calm. Wide lines suggest bold strength. Gently curving lines suggest unhurried pleasure. We have read how line is important and what are the role of line in artwork. Line uses in design. Line uses in design organize Texturized guide the eye, provide movement, make a statement, convey universal meanings. When used alone, lines can be rules or leaders used to separate, organize, emphasize, or provide a framework for the page. Alone or as part of another graphic element, line creates pattern, set a mood, provide visual texture, create movement, and define shapes. See in this slide how beautifully designs are created. These are the links for further studies. Study more for better understanding. Thank you.